here. As you probably know, when I'm not out exploring the desert, I make my home in Las Vegas. And boy howdy am I tired of hearing people complain about living here. There's no culture, no community, no trees, no seasons. Too hot, too fake, too ugly. I've lived here for 17 years, and I can definitely relate to some of those complaints. It is a pretty shallow town where your worth is based on how hot you are, how much money you make, what kind of car you drive, how many clubs you can get into. And it's not exactly a hotbed of intellectual activity. I mean, why bother going to college or even graduating high school for that matter when you can make a perfectly good living parking cars, serving drinks, or dealing cards? Why bother with Aristotle or Shakespeare when all you really need to know is how to count to 21? It can be hard to maintain relationships, both romantic and platonic, because it's a transitory town and people don't tend to stay very long. Once I snag a high roller, I'm leaving for Beverly Hills. I'm only here till I get my settlement check. Then I'm moving back to Nebraska. I only moved here to care for my elderly parents. When they die, I'm out. And then, of course, there's the little issues of the water shortage, the crime rate, the homeless population, and the proposed nuclear waste disposal site at Yucca Mountain. Those are all legitimate concerns. And honestly, if I didn't travel as much as I do, I might bag on Vegas too. But as it stands, after 17 years, I've come to really like living in Las Vegas. And here's why. First of all, the cost of living is low. Thanks to the gaming industry, degenerate gamblers subsidize everything from my state income tax, which there is none, to my property taxes, which are less than $1,000 a year. Sorry about your kids' college fund. Hey, look, $8.99 prime rib. And there's the weather. You can throw that scraper away because you'll never need to de-ice your windshield here. We only get a few days a year that are below freezing. And although it is pretty unbearably hot in July and August, hello, air conditioning. And the rest of the year is pretty nice. And it's ridiculously easy to make money. I mean, if you can't make a buck here, you're not trying. All these tourists come to town with pockets full of cash, fully expecting to go home with none of it, and it's up to you to figure out an honest way to get your fair share of the pie. I make my living working trade shows and modeling for visiting photographers, but for Christ's sake, you could put on a friggin' costume, stand on the street corner, and make a living posing for photos. But the main thing I like about living in Vegas is the location. My house, which only cost $84,000 by the way, is within a few hours drive of 5 national parks. Zion, Grand Canyon, Death Valley, Great Basin, and Joshua Tree. Yosemite isn't much further, and we also have Lake Mead, the Mojave Preserve, and the Spring Mountains right in our backyards. But even without driving all the way to a national park, what I like most about living in Vegas is that you can set out from the dead center of town and be out in the middle of nowhere in 30 minutes. Try doing that in LA. Vegas is unique in that this is a fairly cosmopolitan city of 2 million people with all the shopping, dining, entertainment, and medical facilities you could ask for, plus an easily accessible international airport with tons of cheap flights, thanks again gaming. It's basically an island surrounded by hundreds of miles of wilderness. This sucks for dating, but it's great for adventures. I'm here at the intersection of Flamingo Rd and Las Vegas Blvd, which is one of the busiest intersections in the world, and it's right in the middle of town. And I'm going to show you what I was talking about when I said that we can go for 30 minutes in any direction and end up in the middle of nowhere. First, let's go north. Okay, it's 11:53. Let's see where we end up at 12:23. let's see where we are. Hey! Look at this. In 30 minutes, I can be out here among the Joshua trees in the spring mountains. And if it was wintertime, I could even go skiing or snowboarding a few miles up the road there. It's always about 20 degrees cooler up here, so it's great for hiking and camping in the summertime too. Okay, it's 1:11. Let's see what happens when we drive south. Let's see where we end up at 1:41. All right, it's 1:41 and let's see where we are now. I'm out here on this desolate, dry lake bed, and all I had to do was get on the freeway for 20 miles. Listen to how peaceful it is out here. All right, it's 2:19. Let's see where we end up if we go east. Let's see where we end up at 2:49. It's 2:49. Sorry about the sun. You might not be able to see the clock. But let's see where we are now. Lake Mead National Recreation Area is just east of Vegas. And in addition to mountains, canyons, and all kind of off-roading trails, there also happens to be a ginormous friggin' lake that's perfect for boating, swimming, and fishing. But as you can see, because there's so many other better-known attractions in the area, pretty deserted out here. Okay, now let's go west. It's 3:38. Let's see where we end up at 4:08. This might be a little bit challenging driving west at this time of day. We're going to be going right into the sun, so apologies if the footage is hard to see. Okay, it's actually 4:18. I had to cheat a little bit because it took so friggin' long to get out of all that traffic. But here we are. It's actually ironic that it took us extra time to get out here because heading west is actually the fastest way as the crow flies to get into the wilderness from town. It's only 18 miles, but it's 18 miles down Charleston Boulevard, which, as you saw, is one of the busiest roads in all of Vegas, and it's always clogged with traffic. But once you're out here, it's beautiful. This is Red Rock National Conservation Area, aka Red Rock Canyon. It's considered, I think, one of the top rock climbing destinations in the entire world, but it's also great just for hiking and for photo shoots. This right here is what I love about living in Vegas. I'm an outdoorsy nature girl, so for me, the proximity to open spaces is what keeps me living here. But even if you don't like to hike, mountain bike, climb, or off-road, the beautiful weather, low cost of living, abundance of work, and access to world-class services should be enough to make you shut up and quit bagging on Vegas. And I mean it. If you don't like living in Vegas, you're just not trying.